Have you ever noticed that if you give a few different people the same job to do, they might not do the exact same thing with it? If I ask somebody to keep track of some data about all the different pieces that I've got in my museum, some people might put it in a text document, some people might make an Access database, some people might make an Excel spreadsheet, some people might just handwrite something. There's lots of ways to keep track of data. Now, I think there's better and worse ways to keep track of data, but when you learn the skill of getting external data in Excel, it's because a lot of times you'll go into an office and somebody will have been keeping track of data in a way that isn't really that useful, and you want to bring it into Excel so that you can start to use it properly. I'm showing you right here a Word document. It's actually not Microsoft Word, it's a notepad, so it's a text file that has our museum data in it. You can see that there are quite a few records, and we're keeping track of different paintings and sculptures and things that we have in the museum being displayed. And what I want to do is show you how to bring that data into Excel. So I'm going to close that file and open Excel. And I'm just going to arrange my window so that you can see it pretty well right now. Think that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to open a new document in Excel. And when you want to bring in external data, you're always going to start on the Data tab. Over on the left, there's a section called Get External Data. It looks a little different on my ribbon right now because I'm using a restored window that's smaller than a maximized window. But when you go to get external data, your first decision is going to be whether or not you're bringing it in from Access, from a website, from a text document, or from another source, and existing connections, and we'll look at those in the future, but we know that we want to bring in data from a text source, so I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to navigate to where I've got my document and double click on it. That starts the text import wizard. And what it does is it gives you some choices. It gives you a preview down below, and then you're going to step through the different choices. Now, we are using delimited text, and what that means is that there's a way that the document tells one bit of data from the next, and that's because there's a tab between the items. And so when I choose next, I get to choose what kind of a delimiter is there. If I take tab out, let's say I don't really know, I didn't really look at the data that well, I could choose space, and I could say, does that make my data look good down here? No, that doesn't do it. How about comma? No. Semicolon? No. Tab? Oh yes, that looks good. So when you choose one, you can just experiment and see how is it looking down below. And when you see it lining up nicely, then you can choose the next button. Now, this step is if you have any kind of special conditions you want to set. Notice that we have a field here that's a date field. We want to keep this looking like a date. So we can say, please make this date as it goes in. Otherwise, it could come in just as text, and then we'd have to try to format it as a date, and it could be messy. Well, nothing else really needs to be specified, so I'm going to choose the Finish button. The last step after you finish is actually to say where do you want your data to start going into your spreadsheet. And I actually like to start in A2 because I like to put a heading at the top of my pages often. So I'm going to say A2. I'm just clicking on it and that fills it in here. And I'll say OK. And look at that. Now we have data brought in. I don't even know how many records this is. About 115 records. 116, 115, I guess, and it's showing us perfectly separated columns. And if I look at this, this looks like a date, and it's not having any trouble. So that worked really perfectly.